Brightline, it's a Florida train, Fort Lauderdale to West Palm Beach. Brightline was 2 Siemens SCB 40, 3 Siemens Venter green coach. Let's watch the Fort Lauderdale train derailment. Brightline 107 and the Brightline 103. Brightline was putting more 3 Siemens Venter coach green coach. Put 3 more, and the Brightline train turns to a service. The Brightline in early, the train going slow, and arriving Fort Lauderdale station for 2 minutes. And then leaving Fort Lauderdale station. Brightline going slowly, passing on the railroad crossing. And the Brightline engineer, he sees a pickup truck onto the tracks. After the pickup truck parking onto the tracks, the engineer gets closer and closer and closer. The train sees a pickup truck and says, "Soon." Okay. But then it was too little and too late. The pickup truck slammed into a Brightline train, killing 96 passengers on board the train, and the engineer died after a train derailment. The firefighters rescued after a passenger died, and the engineer died after a train derailment. The train derailed at 5:45 a.m. The 54-year-old Texas will say he was arrested for train accident. The train derailed, throwing 5 cars onto their sides. The Brightline train hit a produce truck that was parked on the tracks, decimating it. The truck was split into 2 pieces flown about 100 feet apart. Now is the waiting gate. The train derailed at 5:45 a.m. and at 5:43 a.m. The train service is shut down. He tries to clean up the mess at 5:45 p.m. Work to repair the crossing gates and the tracks on September 1st. On 2025. The engineer and passengers are frustrated for several hours, including the engineer Sanchez, but 2 victims but later died in a hospital days after the crash. This is the Brightline train crash history after 2024 West Palm Beach train crash on few years. What are the passengers who died after a train derailment? This is the 2024 Deerfield train crash a few years ago. On June 12, 2024. The black 2022 Honda Civic Sport. The black 2021 Honda Accord Sport. We stopped at the train crossing after a pickup truck slammed into a Brightline train and then parked on the tracks, almost crashing into a vehicle. The 54-year-old man was arrested for felony hit and run on a suspicion. Including the engineer, also died. Including the 96 passengers on board, also died. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. But the 54-year-old Texas will say he did not survive. He was arrested for train accident. The 5 trash truck stopped at the train crossing, and the 2 vehicles stopped at the train crossing. The 2006 Bluebird All-American A3RE and the 2017 Bluebird All-American T3RE. The 2004 International RE stopped at the train crossing. All the passengers are died after a train derailment, and the engineer was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The pickup truck was hit by a train. The truck was split into 2 pieces flown about 100 feet apart. Now is the waiting gate. The tracks will be repaired, and the crossing gates will be repaired. This one's on Blueberry Avenue and 20th Street. The 54-year-old Texas Jose is now in custody. So that one is replaced. The crossing gates and the tracks are being fixed. Begins of tri-rail services after a Brightline train derailment. On October 20th, 2025, a tri-rail train crashed into a car. The car split in half on Toronto Boulevard. The GO Transit train collided with the car. The white car split in half after a train accident. On October 24th, 2025, the box truck mysteriously smashed into a Brightline train and then catches fire, almost burns out to the West Palm Beach yard. After the train service is now open, back and running. Now, 2 months ago, the Brightline train, 3 passenger cars and locomotive, now they're scrapped. 2 months later, the Brightline train 107 derailed after colliding with the pickup truck. After the accident, the engineer, he's fighting for his life, and it's clinging for his life after a train derailment. 3 passenger cars derailed, and 1 locomotive derailed after the impact, after colliding with the truck on the tracks. After the accident, the Brightline train that were not going to be scrapped, they had to repair it after a Ford F-150 collided with the train and parked on the tracks after the train derailment. Begins the tri-rail services. On September 30th, 2025, a Jeep collides with the Brightline train. Brightline says the Jeep broke through the crossing gates at Florida Street and Orlando Avenue. A tractor trailer burst into flames after crashing into a Brightline train. This went to Blueberry Avenue and 20th Street. On October 30th, 2025, a Brightline train collided with the 2021 Ford Fusion. We made a new 2025 Ford F-150, the 2025 Honda Civic, the 2024 Honda Accord they made on the dealership. The accident, sadly, the Brightline engineer and the 96 passengers on board the train were died after the train derailment. After he was taken to the hospital, how can you scrap a train after a train derailment? But why? Because a train accident? The 54-year-old Texas Jose, he was arrested for suspicion of felony hit and run after a Brightline train derails after colliding with the truck in Fort Lauderdale like an Oxnard train accident. On 2015, a Metrolink train derailed after colliding with the tractor-trailer produce truck after a pickup truck parked on the tracks after then hit by a train and then derailed this morning. All the passengers died after a train derailment. And the Brightline train engineer, he died after a train derailment. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. All the passengers and 1 locomotive, now they're scrapped. 2 months later, the Brightline 107 derails after colliding with the truck. So, let's hope that this accident never happens again.
No moriré.